Fantastic. Super stuff. Michelle, kick it off. How great is
Okay, brilliant. Well done. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, and welcome everyone. Ladies and gents, I can see we've got a gent out there today as well, which is fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. So I feel very privileged. My name is Michelle Carpenter, and I am the owner of a company called Body and Mind Matter. I work as a personal trainer, health and wellbeing coach, counsellor, and Pilates instructor. And I've combined partnership today with Barbara as a wonderful nutritionist. I'm going to give you an overview of Barbara in just a second. And we've combined together tonight because we feel as though we wanted just to reach out around the menopause and use both of our skills and our passions around well-being, nutrients, diet, exercise, and just the whole well-being around menopause. The fact that it's out there and that it's affecting half of the population, and also the other half that aren't experiencing the symptoms potentially live with us while we're going through this journey. So let's just embrace this journey together and maybe learn some new things about food and exercise that maybe we didn't know before, or that we can just reiterate and just give ourselves a little refresh on that. So I'm going to introduce the lovely Barbara, and because she has such extensive experience and knowledge and qualifications, I've had to take a few notes so I don't forget anything. So bear with me if my eye gaze does stray away from the screen, but I just don't want to miss a thing. So the wonderful Barbara Cox, I'll just go over a little bit of her CV, shall we say. So Barbara, you ran NutriChef for 12 years, where you created healthy meal plans for busy people who wanted to lose weight and were suffering from the diseases of civilization, like cancer, heart disease, mental health issues, and diabetes. You are the author of Rainbow Recipes and Eat to Be Fit ebook. You were awarded the national title of Entrepreneur of the Year in 2008 by the British Chambers of Commerce. You were awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015 at the Venus Awards for all of your dedication to the world of nutrition over the last 12 years. Today, you work tirelessly to inspire, educate, and motivate on all aspects of health, wellness topics. Now you are helping people set up their own brands. You are an entrepreneur, a blogger, a consultant in nutrition, for healthy lifestyle, for weight loss, for sports training. You are a published author, speaker, and you create corporate wellbeing plans. And breathe.
And breathe.
Wow. There is more. There is more. Your realization of how much diet can make a difference to day-to-day living and live a functional life with optimum health came early when you grew up in Canada and you were a junior skating champion. You were experiencing energy dips, lightheadedness, and lethargy. And this is the feeling that people get when they miss out on a good night's sleep and consume a diet of fast food and fizzy drinks. You hung up your skates at 18 years old, and at this point, you really wished you knew a nutritionist. Later, you spent time living in Japan, and you were amazed at how energized you were. You were eating the Japanese way. You were struck by the vibrancy of the population, especially the longevity and the energy of the elderly and the physical fitness of younger folk. Keen to explore the link between the Japanese diet and the nation's comparatively low levels of obesity, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, you embarked on a distance learning degree specializing in nutrition. In 2004, you started NutriChef, which ran for 12 years, and growing it from a local enterprise to a national operation, catering to over 100 clients a day throughout the UK. But what meant most to you was making such a positive difference to people's lives. These were people who were overweight, whose weight loss gave them renewed confidence and happiness, and those suffering from illness whose energy levels suddenly returned and symptoms disappeared. So we are really thankful that you are talking to us today, Barbara, and you have such a vast experience of working with clients around nutritional requirements, especially in the menopause. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions just to get the ball rolling, so that our ladies and gents out there tonight can just really benefit from your expertise. So are we okay to continue?
Yeah, I'm multitasking here, letting everyone in at the same time. So yeah, go for it.
Fantastic. Brilliant. So tell me what the most common areas that you would be helping clients with around the menopause.
Oh, wow. There's great question to sort of kick it off with. I mean, there's so many. I guess really where I love to start, it's never just one place. And this is the amazing thing. And it is like with health as with anything else. I look at 10 main areas, and when I deal with menopause, the 10 areas we look at, which is what I want to deep dive into today, are food is number one, planning, scheduling, and organization is another one, hydration strategies are one, alcohol is another one. We have supplementation, we have sort of symptom alleviation to get those quick wins. We take a look at mental health, you know, the anxiety, depression, and if you don't have that, sometimes you have low moods. You might have high moods. I have some who are, you know, completely hyperactive, as well as that snappiness. We take a look at motivational mentoring within that as well to kind of keep it going, because you know what, so many people are just ready to just throw it in like that. We also take a look at medical interventions. And then, of course, we take a look at exercise, which is actually then when I'm going to kind of throw it back to you. But how I kind of want to start is deep diving into those, if that's okay.
No, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
It really, really does. So yeah, when you're ready, people are still coming in.
Yeah. Let's just check a couple of people in. If you're not muted, can you please mute yourself? And this is also going to be recorded, so you can watch this back. You're going to get a replay link as well, because for those of you who know me, oh my goodness, I speak so quickly and there's so much to get through this evening, because as I said, even just those 10 areas that we want to go through, I'm going to deep dive a little bit more into those 10 areas. But I want you to start. I can see some of you with pens and papers. Well done. Ready to take notes, because I want you to also, in each area that I talk about, it's almost like a wheel. Think of it like a wheel, and you need to be doing something in every area of the 10 areas we talk about this evening for your wheel to roll smoothly. No one wants a wonky wheel, right? So you need to be doing something in each of these areas. Otherwise, you are not going to get lasting effects, and you're not going to get alleviation. They are so interconnected. The body is a piece of biochemistry, and that is the way that you have to treat it. Little bit more, sorry, I'm just going to let some people in here. A little bit more on my background. I am actually your European representative on the Global Wellness Council. I just so happen to live here in Bournemouth. I know a lot of you are local, but I know also a lot of you are global. And so I take a look at labeling laws, and I'm going to go into that a little bit more as well. I sit on that council because I hate people being duped. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of laws around complementary medicine, complementary therapies, or labeling laws on medications, prescription drugs, and supplements, which we're also going to talk about this evening. So we really do need to keep our eyes open with all of these kinds of things. So just for those new people that I've let in, could you please mute yourself, which would be great. So let's get into these 10 areas, and I'm going to start with food. And the obvious place that I really want everyone to start with here is dumping the junk. Sounds really obvious, yeah, but it's not, okay? And it can be actually really quite difficult, especially if you're suffering from some of the symptoms, which I'm going to go through, because those cravings can take over that you feel are alleviating some of the initial symptoms that you might be having, but actually take a lot of willpower, which you might not feel you have a lot of willpower at this time as well. But, you know, clearing your cupboards of all the junk food and refilling them with an anti-inflammatory diet principles, which I'll touch on. basically we need to reduce the inflammation in the body. All symptoms are caused by inflammation, and it is amazing what causes this chronic inflammation in the body. And hormones and menopause are exacerbated by inflammation. So the anti-inflammatory principles are no sugar. It's going to sound like a nightmare to some of you, okay? No sugar, no dairy, no wheat. You need to also watch your nightshades. Nightshades are fruits and vegetables that grow at night. Yeah, so your potatoes, your peppers, your potatoes, aubergines, all those things that we love to eat, but actually they can exacerbate your symptoms at the moment as well. You need to be flooding the body with good quality fats. You also need to be taking a look at good quality proteins, green leafy vegetables, fresh herbs, little red meat, packed with oily fish, nuts, seeds, fresh, low chemical ingredients as much as possible, okay? And we're gonna keep building on this throughout. But what you also need to do on the second hand of that is you need to plan and you need to schedule. So this making a plan and sticking to it, and that plan is your map. Sorry, I'm letting people in at the same time. So that plan is your map, and this will guide you through this journey to change. But you need to start small, and you need to change one behavior at a time and stay accountable. So maybe involving a buddy, that always really helps. And these changes need to stick daily, but they're not quick changes either. And so for you to be able to see the results, this is kind of my rule of thumb for this. You need to be implementing and sticking to changes for 1 month of every 10 years of your age. So for example, I'm 54, right? So for me, if I'm going to change and stick to a new regime, I have to stick to it for 5.5 months before I'm going to actually see any big changes. And that's the same with anything to do in a complementary way of doing stuff. We are so used to quick fixes, right? Going, getting a pill, bang, it's done. But actually that doesn't really work because you're just putting a Band-Aid over your symptoms. I don't put Band-Aids over symptoms. I alleviate the symptom by correcting the problem. And this is a whole big difference. So if we're going to correct something, you've spent the last 10, 12 years building up issues in the body that are exacerbating the symptoms that are there. You cannot accept to alleviate those symptoms within 2 weeks. That is not going to happen. So you need to be extremely realistic, but you also need to be extremely honest with yourself, because within that time, whether it's 4 months, 6 months, 7 months that you are implementing something, if you mess up one of those days, you need to be honest and you need to be like, okay, right, boom, next day, start fresh, recommit, start from day 1 again. Because otherwise you're never going to alleviate the problems fully. And this might sound like a lot of work, and yeah, it is, but it might be a lot of work, but it's not complicated. And if you follow these 10 areas, okay, and really take a look at getting this wheel rolling smoothly, you're going to build the most amazing momentum in the whole thing. I'm just going to mute the new people that have come in. So I don't want this to be tough for anybody, but you need to set realistic expectations around this. Okay, so number 3, we've got hydration. You really do need to take a look at a proper hydration strategy. So staying hydrated during this menopausal time is super important, because obviously water contains all those nutrients, they contain electrolytes, they contain minerals that our brains and body needs. But interestingly, since estrogen actually helps us to stay hydrated during menopause, it causes our body to lose that ability to retain the water. So once you start putting those two and two things together, you know, you need to refine how you're actually drinking water. So, you know, before menopause, what was a healthy amount to drink, 1.5 to 2 liters of water a day in between your meals, you know, now needs to be a little bit more. And then you're going to like throw in the hot flushes. You're going to throw in your dehydrated skin. You're going to throw in your headaches, your digestive issues, the bladder issues that actually brings with it, your joint pain, fatigue, anxiety, mood swings, brain fog, all into that mix, right? Can you start seeing the picture that we're actually getting? Not to mention the memory, because now you've actually even forgotten to drink the water. Yeah. So, I mean, really what happens here is we need a template. You need to use your phone. You need to put timers on your phones to every hour to remind you to drink. The strategies are endless, and how we can get these strategies working for you. But you need to look at hydration as part of that strategy, not as something to just have a glass of water. You need to put it honestly as a strategy, because your estrogen is up and down, so you are not retaining the water that you're having. It's just flushing through the system. The number 4 area we're going to take a look at is alcohol. Now, the links between alcohol and menopause symptoms seriously needs a deep dive in here. I spoke at the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, NIAA, back in London in 2018. And the conference was called the Alcohol Change UK Conference. And I talked about the correlation between the mind misinterpreting symptoms of illness instead of actually being symptoms of alcohol in the body. Now, it's really fascinating, this, because it's a very sobering thought, because there is oodles of research out there. And what's really fascinating is that they are now saying high risk drinkers. Okay, and if you classify now what a high risk drinker is, that's having 7 alcoholic drinks a week and more than 3 alcoholic drinks on one day. You are then now classified as a high risk drinker. So, you know, the more we age, heavy drinking is just more dangerous to the body. You know, it's associated with so many risks. All cancers, and I specialized in brain tumors, by the way, all cancers are caused by drinking alcohol, all of them. They're all linked, okay? So, you know, if you're drinking alcohol and, you know, you're surprised that you either have menopausal symptoms or other diseases of civilization, that's cancer, heart disease, diabetes, mental health issues, don't be surprised, because they are linked to that. And it's not meant to scare. None of these things are meant to scare people, but it is meant for us to really wake up and take a look at our lifestyle and see what we can change in that wheel to alleviate the symptoms alongside everything else. So, you know, the links between heavy drinking and organ damage to the brain, to the nerves, to the heart, to the liver. And when we take a look at alleviating some of the symptoms that we're having with menopause, these are really quite fascinating. Irreversible bone mass loss is a symptom of menopause, but it is also one of the #1 symptoms of drinking alcohol, just 7 drinks a week. You know, so I mean, if we're talking about, you know, everyone feeling better, we do really need to take a look at everything that we're doing. So the next one we want to look at is supplementation. Now, again, another minefield around supplementation, because as your European representative on the Global Wellness Council, one of the areas that I lobby against and I really look at is standardized dosing. Now, I'm going to explain standardized dosing because a pharmaceutical drug is a standardized dose. So, for example, if you go to the doctor and what they're going to prescribe a standardized, I don't know, statin, a drug for you, and it says it's got 100 milligrams of that drug per pill. It goes through so many different types of testing to make sure that every pill you take is a standardized pharmaceutical grade dose of 100 milligrams if it is on the label, okay? Now, unfortunately, with supplementation, we do not have that same standardized dose. And so you might buy 100 milligrams of vitamin C from the supermarket, but unfortunately, if it's not a standardized dose of 100 milligrams, then the label can actually say it's 100 milligrams of vitamin C. That might be in one capsule. It might be in the whole bottle. There is no correlation. Okay, so you need to be very, very careful when taking supplementation. Very careful. That to make sure that there is no contraindications with any of the ingredients of supplementation that can contraindicate with any of the medication that you're on, whether it be HRT, whether it be any other medication as well. So you are looking for on that label standardized pharmaceutical grade. Okay. Otherwise, unfortunately, you really are looking at a lot of fillers that could be causing a couple of the issues that might be causing some of the symptoms that you're having as well. Okay, so let's now take a look at some symptom alleviation. You know, we've got some quick wins, right? And so I have some further quick wins, but your task this evening is to make sure you're doing something in each of these 10 areas. So, common symptoms I often deal with clients, number one is weight gain, right? Hot flushes, brain fog, poor sleep, memory, depression, anxiety, heavy flooding is one of the biggest ones that I deal with. Especially when we take a look, can everyone just mute themselves, please? Especially when we take a look at menopause in the workplace. You know, I have tried to get some really quick wins with symptom alleviation with flooding for people who sometimes can't even head to work because, you know, it is so heavy. Reduced libido, osteoporosis, you know, if everyone, hi, can I ask everyone to just mute themselves if you're not muted already? Thanks. So, I mean, when we take a look at that, again, some of these symptoms, they're so personal. They're so personal to each other. But the other thing as well is that they change, right? So what happens one month, you almost seem to get over that one and then another one kicks in. Do you find that? Because, you know, even with myself, I found that. It's like, oh, great, I got over that one. Oh my God, now another one's kicked in. And although I can laugh about it now, I sometimes always in the back of my head, and let's say I have a big event, you know, I'm traveling or I'm speaking on stage and I'm thinking, oh God, I hope none of these rear their ugly head, you know, at that time. Does anyone else think that as well? Yeah, and it's hard. It's constantly there, right? It's like this little Pac-Man that sits there kind of munching away. So, you know, we want to try to give you some tips tonight that you're going to be able to really, really take away. This motivational mentoring is my kind of 8th bit because you need to keep it going. You need a buddy. You know, there's so many people in this evening, and if you know someone there or using you know, these webinars, can I just say this is going to be a part 1 of our webinar because we are going to keep these going. to deep dive each month even more into the top level issues that we've touched on tonight, to help you alleviate these symptoms more and more and more, so you have the proper information that you're going to be able to use kind of straight away. Because accountability, troubleshooting, support, answering your questions, alleviating your concerns, so you have a peace of mind that you can carry on with your day-to-day activities, are really why Michelle and I wanted to, kind of start these, because Michelle and I talk about these all the times when we're working with clients and, helping each other and giving each other ideas on how to troubleshoot for our clients. And we just thought, do you know what? We need to tell everybody these areas that they need to work in, give them some quick wins, but deep dive further each month. Because as you can tell, we're already halfway through the hour. There's no way we can deep dive into each one. So my number 9 is taking a look at these medical interventions, because again, there's so many. Now, when you take a look at the other areas, so you're looking at all the food, right? Food is great to work alongside the medical interventions as well, dumping the junk, getting your anti-inflammatory foods, but planning all that in and making sure that you're planning properly, because even some of the medications takes planning. It really does. There's different times of day you need to take it. There's a lot of issues that can work there as well. Hydration and making sure you're drinking enough alongside the medication also. Now, there's a lot of contraindications with some of the HRT medication that's out there with the alcohol, as I mentioned. So you really do need to look at that. And again, for anyone who needs further information on ways that you can reduce your alcohol or cut it completely, I can point you in the right direction of that as well. Medication will give you those quick wins of alleviating the symptoms, but actually sometimes so will the other points that I have talked about as well. I don't have any issues around combining any type of medication that's going to alleviate symptoms to get you to a further level, so you can look at all the other areas as well. Everything works hand in hand. So if you're taking medication to alleviate osteoporosis or the hot flushes or depression, so you can then tackle those other areas of anxiety, heavy flooding, brain fog, poor sleep, then why not? Everything needs to work out. And don't forget, you're going to be doing this for at least 6 months. So you can space them out over the 6 months and say, right, this month I'm going to tackle this, then I'm going to tackle this, and then this and this and this. And that beautiful compound effect really helps massively, because it's got to keep you motivated. And if you're not motivated to do this, then that's also how Michelle and I can help. Jump on these calls every month. I think we're going to do them on the first Monday evening of each month. That's so we'll keep you posted on that. But you do need to really have that complementary approach and that well-rounded approach to tackling everything that you have. And kind of my tip number 10 is around exercise. And how great, because Michelle is going to tell you everything to do around exercise that's going to help. And then afterwards, I can tell you about some nice self-care tips as well, and point you to a blog that I've written around self-care tips for menopause as well. But I'm going to hand back over to Michelle. And, as I said, these are just top line areas to look at. We're going to send out some more information that's going to give you to replay this, as well as some further information to take a look at. But Michelle, you know, you are the expert in exercise. Can you please give everyone some tips on how can we alleviate some of the menopausal symptoms that we are experiencing through exercise, please?
Thank you, Barbara. It was really wonderful to hear you talk, and you know, I just sat here listening, just very inspiring. And I think, you know, like I said in the introduction, if we're already aware of some of this stuff, it's just nice to have that reiteration and that confirmation, you know, just to keep us all on track. So thank you very much. And you know, as we probably already know, 50% of our wellness is most of what is kind of going in the mouth and what we're eating, and then the 50% is the exercise and the movement and just the life balance around all of those things. So yeah, working as a personal trainer, Pilates instructor, and as a counselor, I feel that exercise, it should be and is available to everyone, and what that looks like can be a little bit prescriptive to people. So, you know, you ring the GP and you say, oh, I'm struggling with the menopause, and I have muscle tensions and aches, and I have fatigue. And, you know, even my female GP has said to me, oh, exercise, you know, so what is that? You know, it's almost like it has been given on a prescription. And, you know, for a lot of women and, you know, people experiencing having issues, is exercise in the gym? Is it in a boot camp in a field? Is it online on a YouTube workout? You know, what is it? And so I guess my first point today is to say that exercise can be bespoke and unique to you. So it's not one size fits all. So it's very much about what you need that exercise to be. So it doesn't need to look a certain way. So again, it's probably worth looking at, as Barbara just mentioned, which symptoms do you need to alleviate through your exercise? You know, so for example, if you're already overloaded around your joints and your muscles feel tight and your stress levels are high and your body is already experiencing a lot of tension and you're not in flow and you're not in balance, you know, what are the right exercises for you to do around that are quite nourishing for the mind as well as for the body? And we can look at some quite specific activities. I've got clients who have really resonated with sea swimming. Why sea swimming? A lot of them aren't even in wetsuits. They're just going in a bikini swimsuit because of the hot flushes. So they're sea swimming 2, 3, 4 times a week. And a lot of them have reported a reduction in their core body temperature, which has really alleviated. I've got one client who has said her hot sweats have reduced by 90% just from sea swimming every day. So, you know, it's looking around that alleviation and what we can do around that. For joint pain, you know, this is particularly one of the symptoms that I struggle with a lot. You know, what do we need to do for that? Do you need to be doing a high intensity HIIT workout if there's already tension in the body? You know, let's look at that. Is your best way of moving forward maybe some swimming, because it's non-weight bearing? It can really improve your flexibility and strength, but you haven't got the impact. So again, it's just about making sure you're picking the right exercises for your symptoms and letting them meet you in that moment. You know, look at the yoga, look at the Pilates, but making sure that it's the right type for you. There are different levels of yoga, there are different styles of Pilates. So again, it's just making sure that it's a good fit. It's a good fit for you. Again, I'm just going to go into anxiety. You know, a lot of women struggle around anxiety or uncertainness around themselves. They lack confidence because they've become very disconnected from their bodies. All of these symptoms have come into the body, and it's almost like an unknown stranger. And it's almost like they don't know themselves. They've really lost that connection with themselves. So to then go into an exercise, I don't know, let's take spinning or I don't know, a body pump class where, you know, the music's pumping and it's very sweaty and, you know, it's like, go, 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 go. if you're already dealing with that intensity, that go-ness, that stress, that you know, it's full on, it's in your face, it's looking as to whether you need something else to be adding into that. You know, your glass is already full. Do you need to be dealing with something else that's raising the cortisol, raising the stress? You know, it's great to have high intensity, great for fat loss and things like that. But, you know, look at where it's meeting you. What do you need to complement your body? I'm a very big believer in, we're all busy people, taking the time to really bespoke your fitness to what you need it to do. You know, and sometimes it's a shift of mindset, because maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we were used to flying around and running for miles or doing burpees in fitness classes, or, you know, putting the body under a lot of strain. And it's sometimes the brain has to adjust to the body slowing down, or just working at a different pace, or needing different things from exercise. You know, and I guess from a counseling point of view, working as a person-centered counselor, it's just about giving ourselves permission to accept that new person, and we have new needs, and just to keep the dialogue quite healthy around that. You know, just that allowing, and not sort of still trying to be that person that we were 5 years ago, when, you know, maybe we didn't even know what menopause was. So yeah, so my main summary of that would be to just look at what you're doing. You know, play to your strengths is my next key thing that I really want to look at. What do you really enjoy? We're all busy people. Exercise does not have to be grueling. It does not have to be something that you dread doing. Exercise can be anything that you want it to be. It can be walking, it can be walking your dog, it can be half an hour walking to work, it can be, you know, it can be stretching, it can be lifting weights, it can be anything that you really love to do. Swimming in the pool, walking in the park, anything. Now, make sure that whatever you're doing works for you. So is that exercise going to be with a friend? Is it going to be in a community-based fitness class? Is it going to be in a gym? Is it going to be something that is specifically for you? Are you a busy mum? You know, are you balancing lots of needs of other people? So is your exercise a specific time for you that you can just indulge in that hour to really align yourself and just give yourself that time to enjoy what you're going to do? So yeah, make sure that it's right for you, that it's the right type. If you're going into a class and you're going into a gym, saying you're paying a gym membership, it's quite easy to look at a timetable and think, oh, I like the look of that. But, you know, is the instructor going to give you enough instruction? If you're a new fitness participant to that class, is that instructor going to be bespoke enough for you and the issues that you may be experiencing? So, you know, if, as Barbara was saying, she would go into a room and she would do a big speech to a whole venue of people. If all of a sudden you've got a hot flush, you know, that's something that you need to deal with in that moment. Are you going to be okay in that fitness environment dealing with that? So I would like to feel that in the classes that I run, I have got clients that will say to me, oh, Michelle, I'm just having a moment, I'm just having a hot flush. And hey, that's okay, that's just part of it. So yeah, make sure your fitness environment is right for you and that it fits. So just moving around that as well, that could be an outdoor environment, that could be an indoor environment. If you're doing home workouts, ladies and gents, and you're doing them on YouTube or you're doing them on Zoom, I've had clients come to me that have had fractured pelvises through a trainer doing it online and not looking at the technique, not looking if they're doing it right, and just saying, push through the pain, you know, just do this, just do that. It's about an appreciation for the whole person. So it's about looking at the skill and the technique needed to actually execute the movements. So if you are going into exercise as a new fitness person, or you're going into something different that you've not experienced before, make sure that that instructor or that group skill set matches you, okay? Because the last thing any of us need is to walk away with extra joint pain or extra inflammation or extra things to manage. You know, we just need our exercise to be complementary. Okay, So type of exercise, again, very unique, not one size fits all. What's right for one isn't right for another. So make sure whichever exercise you choose, whichever method you choose, is just good for you, that it complements you. I always say in my classes, we're not here to take anything away. We're here to invest, to add. I haven't got days to recover. I haven't got time to spend days recovering after a workout. I haven't. I need to wake up in the morning, as most of us do. I need to hit that ground running, and I need to feel the best I can do. So my exercise and what I invest my time in outside of work needs to work. It needs to make me feel good. I can't spend days recovering from tired muscles. I just haven't got time to do that, because if I'm alleviating symptoms of menopause, I certainly haven't got time to alleviate symptoms from a bad workout or something that just didn't suit me. So yeah, just be mindful of what you're choosing to do. So we could look at cardio. So we've got the running, cross training, walking, swimming, the bike. You know, again, pick something that you really enjoy, that's accessible, that's easy, that's just something that you can go and do. You know, maybe you've got an exercise bike in your spare room. You know, make reasons to do exercise. Don't make excuses not to do exercise. Weights, you know, weights as menopausal women, weights are so important, but look at the weights that you're using. You know, we need to weight bear. We need to do a certain amount of not loading, but training of the muscle. But, you know, if we're picking up weights that are too heavy for our joints, especially if we're experiencing issues around osteoporosis and, you know, degeneration of the joints, the breakdown of the muscle, what we don't want to do is load that area. You know, if we're raising weights here and we're lifting above the shoulder and already we're clicking, we're clunking, we've got cracking joints and muscles, we don't need anything else to manage around that. So, you know, making sure that when we're doing repetitions or sets of movement, make sure that they're precise enough and that they're accurate enough that we can just maybe do 12 reps. You know, we're not here to kind of have the big guns, but we do want to maintain the muscle tone that we've got. You know, a lot of clients come to me, it's about the bingo wings, Michelle. It's this floppy bit, you know. Well, you know, it is a fact. The muscle tone is going to go. We lose a lot of that. So let's look at ways that we can work around that and improve that, because there are some fantastic ways of doing that without overloading the body. Okay, let's just, I'm mindful that I'm talking a lot and I mustn't spend too much time on everything because I'm so passionate. I'm about that. I'm like that dog. I said to Barbara earlier, I'm like a dog and my tail wags and it just doesn't stop wagging. So I must just calm it down slightly. And I, again, talk very quickly when I'm very passionate and on cue. Core, my lovelies, I just want to talk to you about core. We all know core muscles. A lot of us are working from home. We are sat in flexion. As a Pilates instructor, I'm very key about alignment. So the whole time that we're sat forward in flexion, we're disengaging the core muscles, okay? Now, if we're coming to day-to-day routines and we've got lower back pain, we've got issues around the bladder, we've got inflammation, we've got the extra maybe layer of excess, I call it my little Buddha belly. If we've got that little extra excess layer, you know, let's look at core strength, let's look at function, let's look at primarily really good, strong technique, you know, because tone, I think people are quite surprised when they come to a Pilates class that, you know, the slower and more accurate we are in our movements, the stronger the muscles become. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that core. And let's think flexibility, ladies and gents. Let's think flexibility. You know, through tension, through inflammation, through other things connected to do with menopause, our muscles get short. They get tight. They get constricted. We maybe are moving less because we're scared of our bodies and these symptoms that are coming in. So we're almost tightening and bracing the body in a little bit of attentive behavior around what's going to happen next, you know, especially if we're experiencing flooding, we're getting different things going on downstairs and we're not feeling confident around that area. So, you know, let's keep our bodies moving. Let's be flexible. Let's still be able to move our spines, our backs, and, you know, just having an hour stretching sometimes can just empower us back into knowing our bodies and just feeling that little bit more comfortable and able to breathe. You know, people don't realize that the lungs, they sit under the rib cage. Let's just breathe. Let's just take 5 minutes just to breathe. That can be exercise. Fantastic. Right, I am literally going to whistle stop through the next few because I'm mindful that we are running out of time. Time, lovely, time, okay? We're all busy. It's so easy to procrastinate. I definitely, hands up, procrastinate. Normally towards the end of the week, Thursday, I'll just have another quick coffee before I go out for a run. I'll just whiz the Hoover run before I go out for a run, okay? Procrastinate. I've never heard anyone come out of a workout or a class and go, wish I hadn't done that, okay? Just get out there, do your exercise, get it done, okay? Whether that looks like a morning workout, an evening workout, a lunchtime workout, if you're at home working, fit it into your schedule. You know, if you're gonna procrastinate and you know that that's something that you do, get your kit out the night before, put it by the door. If you're gonna go for a run, if you're gonna go for a walk, put it by the door. So you cannot leave that door without putting your kit on, okay? So make that time work for you. Make a date with yourself, okay? You're worth that time. You've had some of the control taken away from your body by the menopause. You didn't ask it to come, it just arrived. It's a new best friend. So just allow that in, give yourself that time, you know, and it is that very much that unique body and mind because it's time for you. Okay, I'm literally, where are we going to go now? A little bit of preparation before exercise. If you've had a rubbish night's sleep, I'm fully with you on this. If you've had a rubbish night's sleep, the last thing you're going to want to do is maybe move around and do a workout. So change it that day. Do something slightly less full on. Maybe do something that's more manageable, because the last thing you want to do is push yourself through something that you just is going to make you more tired. Okay, so try to energize from your movement. Try to just enlighten the body just that a little bit more. Sorry, just had a little chat come through. I will try to ignore that. Okay, so that preparation the night before, again, as Barbara said, hydrate. How many clients do I have come to PT that haven't drunk? They've woken up, they've not drunk any water. Hydrate, you know, get those energy levels nice and high. And again, food, make sure that you've got adequate fuel for your body to enjoy your exercise. Okay, just very quickly around goal setting. Look at your goals, okay? We all need a goal. If we don't set a goal, short term, medium, long term, really what is the point of doing something if we don't have a goal? We're all human beings and we're all driven by goals, okay? So whether that's just to get out of the door 3 times a week and walk, you know, that is your goal, okay? And put something like a sign on your fridge to say, today I achieved my goal. You know, the next day you've achieved that goal. The next day you've achieved that goal, because so then you've almost got that well done you, that I did it today, you know. So there's no reason why you can't do that again next week or next week. You know, look at booking that swim, look at meeting to go and meet a friend and go and have a sea swim, or you know, just make it count. Make whatever you do, have that goal, set it, stick to it, okay? Because in the long term, it's that positive mental attitude. And if you know you're achieving in your goals, you're going to stay that good, what Barbara was saying earlier, that habitual way of being. It becomes a way of life. It's not something that you have to do or I've got to do. It's something that you're choosing to do, and you're recognizing that it's making you feel really good. Okay, so just on that, look at things like a Garmin, a tracker, a fitness app, you know, something to track your steps. Journal, you know, look at a journal. Today I did this. Fantastic. To reflect on what you've done is just really brilliant. To almost give yourself, you are your own cheerleader. Give yourself a pat on the back. That's great. Okay, last little thing I'm going to do before we summarize tonight. Acknowledge you are doing your best, ladies. This is more from my therapeutic counseling point of view. We all need to acknowledge we are doing our best. Okay, I think historically or notoriously, we're all quite hard on ourselves, and we all think that we should be able to do everything that we were doing 10 years ago. But I think it's just about acceptance of what is, you know, So I think, again, it's just going back to have that dialogue, make sure it's healthy. If you set yourself to do a 40-minute walk or a half an hour jog and you only get out for 20 minutes that day, acknowledge you've done your best. Acknowledge you've done your best on that day with what you had. Okay, so dialogue. Make sure you have a plan which is adaptable and functional. Okay, don't talk yourself out of exercise. Just make sure it's adaptable and functional. So if you can't do that on that certain day, change it so you can do something. And I'm just going to pick one last thing off of my cards. Menopause, certainly from the symptoms that I've experienced, I'm just sort of that little bit younger, I guess, than some of the population, but definitely coming into sort of a perimenopause stage, it's really created a disconnect for not only me, but people that are involved in my life, because I've become a little bit disconnected from the old me. So whatever you do around exercise, get it to connect with you. Take that time to just acknowledge yourself and your body and what you can do. Focus on the stuff you can do, not on the stuff that you can't do. If that isn't available to you now that you used to do years ago, make something else available. Try something new, so just reach out. And if there's anything that you need help with or guidance with, this is why me and Barbara have teamed up to sort of give you that partnership and that understanding, really, and that empathy. So yes, I feel like I've talked a lot. I'm going to have my glass of water, finish off my 3 liters of water for the day. And I hope you found that helpful, lovelies. And, please reach out. This is what we're here for. So I'm going to hand back to Barbara and just to give a summary and a little close of the session. And thank you so much for joining us all this evening. It's been really fab.
Michelle, that was amazing. Absolutely fantastic. There's so much to take away from an exercise point of view. And yeah, you're right. A lot of us are stuck at our desks and sometimes we don't feel so energetic first thing in the morning when we do have it booked in, and the whole day can just go out. And, that's why, my number 2 that I talked about is planning and scheduling and organization, but also have a backup plan. So in case something happens, it's like, okay, when can I actually, try to rearrange that with somebody. And I loved how you said it is about, just kind of taking the alleviation off of ourselves. It's like, yeah, this is happening. It is maybe something that our moms didn't talk so much to us about either. We're much more open now, aren't we? And I mean, I can remember having the conversation when I was, about 12 or 13 years old with my mom, starting my period. I never had a menopause talk. Did anyone? Because I didn't. My mom didn't say, okay, sweetheart, we got to sit down now that you're 40. I missed that one. And my mom's at 87. And so, do you know what? I'm going to get her on the phone tonight. I'm going to say, Mom, where was my menopause chat? You had the period chat. How come I didn't have the next one? So, it's just not those kinds of things we talk about. But, and I love what Ian said, and I am going to bring it up because Ian Gerling, he said, men don't talk about this as much. And it's because it's embarrassing. But it's not only embarrassing for men, it can be embarrassing for other women. Because as I said, some of these symptoms that we have to deal with, they are embarrassing, and it's difficult because although society is opening up even more, we want to open it even more, which is why we're going to have these every month, every month. When you booked onto this, I did ask you to send me questions that you wanted answers, and I got oodles from people, oodles. And we're kind of running out of time, but I will talk about, a couple of those. But I actually wrote a blog. So I'm going to send everyone an email. I'll try to add that blog link in there because I didn't add it in before. But I did answer a lot of the questions in the blog. But I will open it up for the last couple of minutes. If anyone wants to ask a question, yeah, this is real life. Let's embrace it. Absolutely, Nikki. I love it. Yeah, it's real. It's real. yeah, so if anyone has any questions, Michelle and I are here, but you know, also Michelle and I are happy to chat with you. We do have a special offer for everyone tonight. You know, we're teaming up and we're doing this special, which is speaking to both of us each for 30 minutes and us giving you a workbook that we've created to go through with things. So we're going to be emailing that offer to you as well. But you know, if you want to pop into the chat now, something, I've lost the chat for some reason. There it is. Or if anybody wants to unmute themselves, then we're happy to help if you have anything to add, anything that you want us to talk about in the next sessions. Because again, we're just going to keep advertising for this and emailing you, you know, about this and kind of go from there. But until those come through, I just want to recap the 10 areas of your menopause wheel. There we go, this one here. You mentioned increasing hydration. How much water should you drink daily? Okay, well, there is actually an equation, but again, it works on weight. But my rule of thumb for recommending for hydration is 1.5 to 2 liters of water a day, but you need to have that in between meals. So when you eat, and when you drink, drink. Because when you drink with your meal, you actually dilute the hydrochloric acid and the enzymes that are in the stomach that are breaking down your food. You don't want to dilute those anymore because obviously during menopause, one of the issues we have is a slower digestion. So we need to be able to digest our food as quickly as possible. If you're exercising, then obviously add that a little bit more to that. But as I mentioned, estrogen stops us from holding the water and retaining the water. So you might notice that you're going to the toilet really, really quickly. So you're drinking, going to the toilet because the estrogen just isn't in the system that holds it in and regulates it through the body. So you do need to drink little and often, but 20 minutes either side of your food. Does that make sense? Yeah. Fantastic. I'd like to ask a question about HRT. Yeah, go ahead. HRT, go for it, Tara. Do you want to unmute yourself, please, Tara, and ask?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much from both of you. It was just a lovely talk and just heard so much good stuff that I've written down. I couldn't stop writing. So thank you. You know, like the exercise stuff, some of those facts that you gave, like I didn't know any of this stuff. It was really, really good, interesting stuff. So my question is that I have been, you know, I think the normal what am I saying? Our usefulness as fertile human beings ends when we go through menopause. And so we're not really, I don't know whether we've been designed to carry on past menopause. So my question is, should we be trying to replace those hormones permanently to keep ourselves in the right, you know, the youthful hormone place? And how might we do that? Because I am looking at bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I spoke to my doctor the other day and she said, well, that's very expensive. I'll just give you a suppository of estrogen because you're, you know, the dryness and lack of libido and all of that stuff. And I've been trying that, but I think I put a bit of weight on around my midriff, even after 3 or 4 days. And, you know, what's everybody else's opinion on this stuff? Because I'm like so confused.
Oh, a great, like, awesome question, Tara. And it's a huge question, which is why I want to have a whole webinar on it. And which is why one of the 10 points is the medical interventions. And there's so many types of HRT and so many percentages of progesterone, estrogen that we can have in there as well. So, I mean, unless, and it is about playing around with it to see what you feel like. So kind of my rule of thumb with all of that is, I love everybody waking up feeling 10 out of 10 every day, no matter where you are in your life. And your views on things are also going to change throughout your life as well. And sometimes I've had die-hard people who are like, yeah, I'm going to go on HRT, I'm going to do, everything sort of anti-aging, until it actually happens to them, and until maybe it doesn't suit their body. Then they're looking for more natural ways. And I've also had the vice versa. I'm never touching HRT, but then actually the natural stuff hasn't worked for them. So again, our bodies are so unique. What's good for you, Tara, isn't good for me, isn't good for Michelle. And again, when you take a look at those 10 areas, they all need to be working together to make sure that everything is working properly within there as well. And sometimes taking a look at specific, lovely, I'll look at your question in a sec. So get a second opinion if HRT, if you want a bioidentical, ask. Yeah, there shouldn't be about the cost. Exactly. There are costs attached to all of this. Cost monetary, cost with your mental anguish of whether you are choosing the right thing or not at the time. That plays a massive role. Okay, and whether you are causing any further issues down the line with the medication that you're on also needs to be put into this mix. And so
that's a very good point, because she prescribed me this estrogen by saying we're not allowed to do blood tests.
I know.
She doesn't know whether or not I've got too much testosterone or progesterone or any of those things. She's just giving me estrogen, and I've accepted it for some reason, but I'm thinking it now like, no, that's wrong. You should know what your levels are so that you can make them right, not just be given stuff.
100%. And this is where we need to be more responsible for our own health. So the great thing is sometimes, and this happens a lot. I mean, a lot of my good friends are GPs and things, and they say, we're trying to alleviate a symptom without, they're putting, not everyone, trying to put a Band-Aid on something when they don't really know all the rest of the 10 areas that can be associated with some of those symptoms that you're having. So what we really need to do is clean up everything first. Then you need to get that intuition back, because actually when you clean up everything, the intuition in the body comes back, and questions just like what are being thrown in the chat now come forward, and they make sense. Yeah. Do you know what? So in these 10 areas, I just want to do like a quick poll, because I can see some hands. I can see most people's hands. Okay. If we were to choose, what have we got? We've got exercise. We have, medical interventions, we have food, we have, I'll kind of click alcohol and hydration into one, supplementation, mental health, motivation. And I just want you to maybe put it all in the chat if you can. What do you want to see first? Next month, if we were to do a topic next month, which one do you want first? Put it in the chat, because we'll start with that. If you want medical intervention, put it first. If you want food, put it first. If you want whatever, pop it into the chat or email us afterwards. Okay, food's one, great, food, okay. Maybe we can do HRT and supplements, mental health, losing yourself. Yeah, it's such a good one. Yeah, I mean, supplementation, medical intervention. Okay, I'll go through these. Food and sleep, yeah. Hand in hand, food, medical intervention, sleep, supplementation, motivation, so tired. Okay, wow, there's lots of them. Maybe with just what's coming through, thoughts and views would be HRT. Maybe with all those that are coming through, thank you, tiredness of the body. I'll have a chat with Michelle. Maybe what we need to do is, thinking off the top of my head here, split the next hour session into 4, and we choose the top 4, and we kind of speak for 15 minutes in each section, and then we're kind of hitting them all each month, getting more of a well-rounded. Does that work? Hands up. Would that something like that work? Yeah. Okay, cool. Michelle, how are you with that? Do you think that's cool?
Yeah, no, that sounds absolutely wonderful. I mean, you know, I'd really like to be able to enable more awareness around mental health, because that is key. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, doing the counselling and Pilates and movement, you know, it's all about just enabling, you know, and whether that's through mental health and more positive thought patterns, or whether that's just empowering your body by releasing tightness and tension. I mean, let's be honest, none of us enjoy feeling like that. You know, we're already a little bit anxious, we're already a little bit demobilized, we're all feeling just that little bit just held back, you know. And if we can just reach out and just feel empowered by movement, amazing. You know, if we can just have healthier thought patterns, fantastic. Sounds absolutely great with the food and everything else, the supplementation. Bang on, that dog's tail is wagging.
You kind of summed it up right there. Enabling. I love that, Michelle. And that's what we want to do for everyone. We want to enable all of you to just feel better than you do now. Right? It really is. And yeah, look, we've gone over time. I want to thank you so much for giving up your hour to us this evening. And, you know, that's really, really great. Thank you for all of your comments. We're going to look through those. We're going to email everyone this evening. I'm going to upload this video to YouTube. I'm going to send you the replay because there's lots of people who couldn't make it on tonight. Watch it again. Get your notebooks out, okay? In those 10 areas, I want you to scale it. 1 being low, 10 being high. Be honest with yourself. Where are you on that scale? Are you 1 to 10? Are you doing your exercises? No, I'm not doing exercises. You give yourself a 1. Yes, I'm hammering myself every day. Is that best for me? I'm not sure. That would still be a 1. Right? Am I doing the proper amount of exercise? Yes, I am. Give yourself a 10. Same with food. Be really honest with that. That's your task. And then you take the one that has the lowest amount and you start there. Start in that area. Gather information. You're very welcome, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. And can you send the list of 10? Yeah, what I'll do is I'll see if I can add that into the email I'm going to send everyone. It's in the blog, so I'll send a link to the blog. Look at the blog, the list of the 10 that is in there. Any other questions? You guys have our email addresses. Email us. We're so happy to help. Yeah, you know, my motto has always been together, stronger, faster. And really, oh, you're welcome, Ian. Attend anytime. We'd love to have you involved. Thank you. Our token man on board. Woohoo! And, you know, together, stronger, faster. And honestly, together, if we stick together, we can find the answers faster, and we're just so much stronger as a group. Yeah, and we can just support each other as much as possible. So thank you, everyone. Good night. And
thank you, lovely.
Thank you. Thank you.